Hi, I'm Andrew Lowry. I'm the chairman of the Crescent Theatre, and we're sitting here today in our wonderful costume department, which is in the Crescent Theatre just off Sheepcote Street in Birmingham. The wardrobe department at the Crescent Theatre has literally thousands of costumes and is really, I suppose, 85 years worth of hard work by lots of the members to create this wonderful wardrobe. Most of the costumes have either been made by members of the theatre, or in point of fact they might have been donated by friends, who have just decided to give us gifts of their costumes. It's all laid out in period, so in other words we've got costumes which date back originally to Elizabethan times, where we might decide to do some of our Shakespeare plays, and through to the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, whatever. They're all here, both male and female, and it's a vast collection. We have literally thousands of costumes. Probably one of the best costume departments, I think, in Birmingham in terms of the theatre side of it. From the wardrobe here, we costume all our shows. So any shows that you come to see at the Crescent Theatre, which is from the Crescent Theatre Company, will have been costumed from here, which is great. It's a great asset to have this in our own building. The format basically is that once the show is cast, the costume team who are allocated to that show will measure the cast members, and they will decide the style with the director of how that piece is going to be played and the look of that show, because that's very important. Often the play itself, the period, will dictate how that look should be. So therefore, if it's something in the 20s, it has to look like the 20s. Something from Hay Fever that Noel Coward wrote has to look correct. Then we move through the various weeks of people getting, people being tried on the costumes and different things like that. One of the interesting things that we've got when we do something like Shakespeare, modern directors never ever want to do it in Elizabethan dress. It's lovely in Elizabethan dress, but they always want to update it. And recently we just did Macbeth, where the whole vision, the whole design for it was Games of Thrones, which was just absolutely fabulous and just brings a much more modern look to a piece like that. But in the main, we will stick to the period that play is set. And we're just about to do The Thrill of Love, which is all about Ruth Ellis, the last woman to be hung in Britain, and that has a strong 1950s look. The challenge for our wardrobe department, however, is the fact that the designer particularly wants to do that with a film noir look. So everything in that has to be black and white. That's quite a challenge. But when you've got thousands of costumes, maybe it's not quite such a challenge. One of the other things we can do is hire out costumes. So if you're doing a play and you want to hire some costumes, you need to get down to the Crescent Theatre and we can help you. Let me show you around the Crescent Theatre's wardrobe department. We've got, literally, as I've said earlier, thousands and thousands of costumes, and each is all done in period. For instance, here we have lots of uniforms that we would use in some of the sort of wartime, First and Second World War, or even periods before that. Quite a collection of uniforms, so that's great from that point of view. As we move through the wardrobe, you can see that, as I said to you, everything is done by period. This is all our Elizabethan costumes. We may not decide to use some of that in our Shakespeare plays, depending on how the director wants to do it. And then we move into the Pride and Prejudice, Emma, Jane Austen type period. Lots of dresses, lots of costumes from that point of view. And then at the bottom here, we've got our 1940s and 1950s look, which is always very popular. We're doing a lot of plays at the moment which have a strong 50s feel. And as you can see, as we move down through it, we have literally lots of costumes depending on what the play is. This one, for instance, is great. This has just recently come off stage. This was made specially for the girl who played Nancy in Oliver, the musical. So from that point of view, it's great. And that will now sit in our costume department to either used again in another production, or maybe even hired out if someone's looking for a Nancy type dress from that point of view. Behind us, we've got literally dozens, as you can see, shoes. Shoes from all sorts of period, gold, silver, men, women's shoes, boots, whatever it is. A vast collection to choose from. And then just tucked around the corner here, we have as you can see, fur coats, overcoats from all sorts of periods, and these boxes are literally filled with shirts, collars, underskirts, hats, shawls, jerseys, jumpers, various things. All in all, this room is 85 years of just wonderful costume collection.